Peace and love, everyone. Welcome to episode 21 of Sex Talk with Ayana the Model. And this episode, we are going to invite FEMME DUSOIR, and she will be talking to us all about her sex life, sexcapades, sex experiences. And I am excited. No, I am a female born woman, baby, period. Um, Yes, I am going to send her a request just in case. Oh, man down. Just in case she hasn't hopped on yet. There. Welcome. Wait till she hops on. Peace, everybody. It's going to be a wonderful talk tonight. Give thanks.
Hey, babe. Hold on, let me
Hey.
add a little something here.
Right. You're like, let me see what I can get.
I am well.
How are you? I feel like yeah, gonna see what's going on. Let me grab some lip gloss.
Want my angle to be a little more. Buddy.
Mm-hmm. All right, we are.
Wait, let me see if I put
Perfect.
it this lower. If I
All
lower
right.
my body, it's better. Hold on. Let's see. I want to show more of me. So I will.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good. Hey, babe.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let me.
How are you?
Let me just fix this the way I want it to look. Or
Yeah, that's the thing about it. Like whenever you do multiple sharing of the lives, they just crop everything. So I'll often just try to put it in a space where like I know the top and the bottom of my face is at least going to show. But I'm just like, child, you're gonna see these shoulders and that's about it.
Conversation, so that's good. How are you?
Right. Oh, Lord. This job one more time. I swear to God. I'm good. Technical difficulties, apparently. I'm good. You getting all the love in the comments.
We're about to have some good conversations. Just stick around.
Indeed, but I'm good. I'm actually in the process of moving. The space that I'm at now is a room, and I have like other roommates in the house, and I'm living there with my mom for a little bit, and just like recalibrating, getting
So where are you now?
everything together. So I'm still in Atlanta. My mom actually lives in Atlanta too. So I'm here. I'm going to be here probably for at least, well, definitely for 6 months, but probably for another year before I make my move to the West Coast. So it's all good. I'm moving to LA after this. I'm ready. I'm ready for it. But I think it's also good that I'm going to stay here because I think that the type of lifestyle I want to live in Atlanta, it can offer me, and I haven't accessed it yet. And I feel like I will be doing myself a disservice if I don't give myself the opportunity to live that life. And also, I think that just because of circumstance and like how I moved down here and who I moved down here with, just like all made it so that, you know, the highest potential of me in the city is not there yet, but
fits your work, your lifestyle, the people you want to work with. Like when I came here to Florida, I really struggle with finding everything that I want. So I'm moving to Orlando pretty soon. Probably because I do there and I have other people that wants to work with me. So it's definitely a go for me.
Wow. Wow, that's interesting. There was a creative who I just recently linked with who lived in Orlando for like 10 years and then just made the move from Orlando to Fort Lauderdale. Decided that he didn't like that move and literally just
Wow.
moved back
A
to
lot
London
of
like
people are
3 days
moving
ago.
like I noticed it's like a back and forth. Life changing, everything's evolving.
It's a
So you want to
time.
be where everything is high, where it's good for you. I think there would be good for me for now. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I think for me, it's just a matter of just feeling settled and getting everything calibrated to run smoothly, to flow smoothly, and for everything that I want in order to
Yeah.
happen like seamlessly. That's where we at. That's where we at. But good to know. Well, I know you have a lot of beautiful supporters in here, but for people who are also here in the live who do not know who you are, just briefly express who you are, your name,
Sure.
and just a little
So
bit
my
about what
name
you
is
do.
Jodelle Duverseau. I was born in Haiti, came here in '05. So one of the main things for me is that I became a muse, a sensual muse. How I usually describe myself is I am a sensual muse, and I'm also a sensual creator and also a businesswoman in the making. So like I love doing
This is
with my day to day is to create content, sensual content. I really love sensuality, talking about sensuality, promoting the creative expression of sensuality. So like my goal within the next few years will be to build my brand some more, like launch my own platform, promote other creators like me, help other women become more sensual, and just keep doing this. This is what I'm about. About my personality, I am shy sometimes, bold sometimes. I'm a very free spirited person. I have my own mind, my own beliefs. I live life my own way. Like, I create my world, my realm, and I just exist in it.
period.
All,
We love that. Yeah.
all of that, all of
Wanted to
that.
share something else?
Yeah.
Right. So, yes, this is FEMME du Soir or Jodelle. If you do not know her, she's amazing. I've been following her for a little bit. We actually collaborated on an event that I did where I showcased my film, so she was able to watch it, and she was also the guest speaker for that. So I'm just really happy to have her on the platform to speak more about sensuality and sexuality. As much as she's a sensual muse, I consider myself the same thing, and I love to just build on the platform to have more people become more educated on something that they don't really know that much about, or something that they just feel very shameful about, or something they might just be very embarrassed about. There's a lot of shadow that goes around sensuality and sexuality. So I think anything that is showing light to that is just more liberating. And I am excited to always have these conversations. So to start us off, what is your experience with
So
sex?
my experience with sex has always been pretty healthy. I was always open-minded. Um, I started reading about sex pretty early, like around, I would say 11 years old.
Hmm.
So I read books. My mom and dad, so I grew up in Haiti. They have a school, so they're teachers. They have their own school teaching people. So they have a huge library. So I used to spend my time in the library, like very young. I love books. So I used to go and read like sensual books and sex books. So that's how I became connected with sex. So I used to go on blogs, like French blogs, reading about sex and just, like learning. So theoretically, I already knew what sex was. So when I was a teenager, my relationship with sex was already healthy. I was not like insecure, about my sexuality and the idea of sex. I was always like, I see the beauty of it. That's one of the things I see about sex, like the beauty of two people coming together, like enjoying their bodies, experiencing pleasure. It's like, for me, it was always beautiful in my head, like without, my parents, they really kept us in the way I grew up. So I really didn't know the idea of the world about sex, just what I read. and what I knew was always beautiful to me, and that always stayed with me, even within my work. Like, thing that I'm very happy about because I was able to learn about it at a very young age. Also, my mom was very open when it came to teaching me about sex and learning about it. So it was always a good vibe, the whole idea.
Mm, nice. So it's very interesting that you started to read about it very young. I think that I also was exposed to, I guess, the idea of nudity as a body and connecting two bodies together. I don't think I understood the concept, and I was definitely not reading about sex. It was funny because when I was in middle school, between the ages of 11 and 13, there were so many people reading Zane books, and they all love Zane books. They all love the sex books, and I never read them. And not because I couldn't get my hands on them, and not because my mother would have said anything about it, because she's an avid reader, and I'm sure if I would have picked it up, she would have been like, okay, because she exposed me to my first book that exposed the
Right.
body to the, naked form. But I was just never interested in someone else's idea of what sex was supposed to be read as or sound like. For whatever reason, I felt like y'all too fast, and like I'm just gonna do it when I do it on my time. But there was an educational standpoint, or like an educational lens to me looking at bodies in the book that my mom gave me, which was called It's Perfectly Normal. And I forgot the author, but I don't know if it's the same author who also illustrates, but it is an illustrated book that describes like bodies. It has like a whole timeline, like in the middle of the book that you open it, it has a whole like illustrated description of like infants all the way to someone who's like 89 years old, but you can see their body, you see their breast, their butt, their penis, or their vulva, like you see everything. And the book is literally called It's Perfectly Normal. So I grew up thinking that normalcy is the body that's naked. Normalcy is you walking around without covering up anything, and you expressing yourself in that way as a source of freedom is like what's the most beautiful. So maybe that kind of gave me an idea of like why I always kind of felt free, because I think coupled with having that experience and then walking around the house naked with a bunch of women who also walk around the house naked, like there was a normalcy to our bodies, and I think that
Yeah.
that has showed up in my art a lot. Would you say that you well, it sounded like you didn't really have a lot of heavy negative influence when you were younger. So would you say that like there was not a lot of negative influence from like religion? Like did your family have any like practices that they did that had any views about the
So
body or
we
sexuality when
are
you were
like
young?
religious in my family. I grew up Catholic, but no, there's there aren't really any shame towards, like my
Mm,
mom, kind of like my mom had something with my body because I when I was young, I was very thin. So that's the, I mean, when it comes to like my body, that's the only thing I can remember. Like my mom making me eat more, like Caribbean people. My mom making me eat more
mm-hmm.
so I could gain weight, but there aren't any shame towards the body, no heavy discussion, religious discussion either. Like in my family, we're pretty much, settled in our beliefs and whatever they were. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. Very uncommon as well, like being from the Caribbean and also like being of religious background. So that's dope. I think for me, because my mom was very agnostic, she raised us where we like believe that there is a higher power, but that's like the extent of it. And then my dad
Mhm.
was Rasta. My dad's from Jamaica. My dad had locks. She converted into being Rasta as well. So she was vegetarian. She stopped eating meat. We grew up not eating meat. We grew up having locks in our hair. So there's a lot of different things that we did growing up. So we just look different and act different and talk different than everybody else we were around. And a part of that was not have any like major religious thought that was kind of inflicted. Like even what we believed was like a minority type of belief system at the time. Like no one else around us in school like knew what we were doing or had any like idea of what we did. And because of that, I feel like there was also no shame, because there's not much there is certain shame in sexuality, if you think about like Rasta culture in connection to Caribbean in general, but also Jamaica, like me being a queer woman, for example. But I don't think that it was that I don't think it was at the forefront of my mind when I was exploring my body in those ways. I was just like a kid exploring, but it didn't I didn't have the words to understand like the
Right.
type of woman that I was, or the type of identity
I
that I
relate
had.
to that too, because I was naturally free, like with myself, and naturally sensual, like without even knowing what the word sensual meant. But that's how I knew. I'm like, wow, it was just I was just really sensual. You know, that's beautiful to be that way. It's beautiful.
Hmm. I agree. Why? Okay, so I think that that kind of answers the next question because you said you have always been naturally sensual. I guess what would be the moment or the pivot point when you started to understand the
So,
language for who you
so
were?
through my work, definitely. But yeah, because when I became a teenager, ever since I was a kid, I was always like into nature. The way I was sensual as a kid is not the same as an. So like when
Mm.
I
Okay,
was,
explain that.
the meaning of being sensual is being aware of your surrounding and engulfing yourself in the moment, being mindful, like practicing mindfulness, all of that. So this is what it meant for me when I was a child. I would love the sun. I like being in the sun. Sometimes I take pictures and I post some captions like sunbathing. I don't know if people understand what I mean, but when I was little, I would sit on the sun, like literally, like driving myself, like enjoying the sun, like looking at the stars. And Haiti, you could see all the stars. And like enjoying the
Mm.
wind, like just going out with my hair out. I used to remove my shirt. I was so free. I used to remove my shirt and run in the streets. Like, mom, like that girl's crazy. But that's just how I was. I was always enjoying like being in the moment, being enjoying everything. So that's how I was sensual as a kid. And then when I became a teenager, I was still sensual, but I was insecure in my body. When I came
Mm.
here in America, becoming a muse helped me explore my body. So that's when I started, returning to myself, returning to like enjoying what it means to be free again without fears. So the work that I did
Mm.
really helped me become free in my body, enjoying sensations again, allowing myself to feel. Because a lot of people, their problem is they can't allow themselves to feel because they're shackled by religious
Mm-hmm.
beliefs, what people's opinion. They want to ask you permission to be themselves. Like that's my work liberated me from any type of fears that I ever had. Like I'm so free again. I could go outside. I could go anywhere. I think I wrote that in the caption. I could go anywhere naked. Like I won't have any issues at all because I'm free and I reclaimed myself. I reclaimed my womanhood. I reclaim pleasure, basically like pleasure, like allowing myself to feel pleasure again, allowing myself to just be Jodelle, like not just femme du soir, like my character that I am in my, but also who I really am, which is a side I don't really show in my work. And next year I'm going to show like my real self, return to my
Mm-hmm.
real self, like without having to be like a persona, So that like that's how I returned. Like sensuality really, like exploring sensuality really allowed me to return to myself. I'm it feels
Mm-hmm.
good.
That sounds amazing. I have two questions, not necessarily related. So the first would be, what was the catalyst for you to be insecure about your body in your teenage years? And then aside from that, what separates
Sure.
Jodelle from
So
Femme de
the
Soie?
catalyst was I was always around curvier woman than me. So, and again, let's go back to Caribbean, their mindset, like being raised in the Caribbean, they do implore like, you know, curves and being fascinated with, like a curvy woman. So I didn't feel like I was curvy. I didn't feel like I was really thin. I didn't even reach puberty yet. So it's like, it was very hard for me to love myself and being like having my mom telling me that I need to eat more. I was always confident. But he thinks you need to eat more. You need to like don't wear this. And my sister was already curvy, and it's like my body's not good. That's how I started to feel like my body wasn't good. I didn't like myself. I started wearing like baggy clothes, and I became really insecure. Like when I was around like 16, 17 years old, I wouldn't even go out. When people invite me, I'm like, I'm not gonna go out because I'm so skinny. No guy's gonna like me. That's how I used to think. I'm like, nobody's gonna like me. I'm skinny, so like my body's not good. And I was very depressed for like, I forget how old I was. I think I was around 19, 20. I was very, very depressed. I never used to go out, just stay home listening to music and just like speak on the phone with my long distance boyfriend. It was just so sad. It was just a sad period in my life. And I really needed to like let go of that fear of, being thin or small. And that's how my work liberated me. Like, and I invented that persona, femme du soir, because also the way I started with my work is through poetry and writing. So wherever I was in these poems and writings, I became in real life. Anybody that used to follow me back then would tell you that it was my poems, my writing that allowed them to follow me. So that's true because I became whoever I used to write about. That woman that was very bold became femme du soir, and I felt good when I said it. I'm like, yeah, I created that person in the dark, the woman of the night. I remember I had my Tumblr, and I'm like, let me create a Tumblr. Let me express myself, and I called it femme du soir, and I became her. And that's the difference. Like my real self is very, very shy. Form on set when people would tell me to pose and do my erratic poses, and I would just transform into femme du soir. Like I would become liberated and free. But now I'm free, so I don't really have to tap into her no more. She's a part of me now. Like, I don't have to like imagine her anymore. Like it's part of me, and I can return to being Jodelle. Like it's just there in me.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, I think that like having to grow into that body confidence is one thing, but also like both of us are Pisces for anyone who doesn't know. And I know that like for the Pisces sun, it is a huge part of our ego to have that shyness and to have that quietness, to have that mysticism, to have that timidness, and there's a lot of people who don't see it when we are adults because they see us in
People
certain
don't think I'm
particular
shy, but I'm
aspects.
really shy. A lot of people say, wait, what? You're shy? I'm like, yes, I am really, really shy. Like I would smile and hide my face, but that's not what you see in my photos because I'm not gonna say it's not the real me. It's just like another part of me. Like femme du soir is the woman inside of me. So when you come on my page, you follow me, you're not seeing me as I am now. You're seeing someone inside of me, part of me that you probably, if you're my lover, you would see, I'm not that person every day in my life, but I love that I created her, and I allow myself to become her. That whatever I imagine. So when I go on my page, I'm really living my fantasy. That's who I'm in my head.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's major. I think that I'm the same way. Like I tell people who are close to me, like if I'm having a conversation with them, like, yeah, I'm a shy person. They're like, shy. I'm
So
like,
you
yeah, I'm shy. Like
don't
just
look shy.
because I feel like people don't expect you to be shy and be social. Or people don't expect you to be shy and bold. But shyness does not
Exactly.
exist in a vacuum, you know. And shyness is not just one thing that overcomes or swallows everything else that you have going on with yourself. It's just a part of who you are, and it comes out in certain ways. Like my shyness comes out in
Mhm.
small groups and intimate settings. So I could be naked in front of anybody. I could be naked in front of a room full of 5,000 people so much easier than I can in front of a room with 5 people. And they're telling you to like, come in the room and there's 4 people sitting there and you're going to be the 5th one. Like that will make me a little bit more nervous because it is such an intimate and close connection. Like I can look every single person in the eye, and like that closeness and that vulnerability makes me a little bit more shy than if I go on a stage and like the entire sea of people is something that looks like one big black blob that I can ignore, you know? So I definitely see that. I definitely can resonate with that as well. And I guess let's get into sensuality. I saw someone write in the chat a while back, I guess, what is sensuality? We kind of discussed that, but why do you think it is important for you? And why do you dedicate your life to sharing this type of
So
lifestyle with other
sensuality
people?
is a great part of my life. Like, it's something that I was never able to disassociate myself with. It's sensual. I was always writing about, like my writings, like erotica and sensual poems, making love making. It's such a big part of my life. I started writing since I was 14 years old. So like I feel like this is what saved me. And I think it's something that every woman should practice. You know, almost like your mini, self-care routine, rituals, in whichever way you want to do it with your partner, with yourself, because it makes you feel good about yourself. Like my work in the way that I did it, I don't know for anybody else because everybody have different experiences, but in the way that I did it, posing nude, like, I used to pose nude 5 days a week, even on the weekends. Every day I was naked in front of people, every single day, for artists, for, sculptors, for students. So it was just always something, like in my life for like 5 years ago where I was always naked. So that did something to me. I don't know. It just removed a lot of fears in me, first and foremost. And then now that I'm creating sensual work where I return to my body, where I allow myself to touch my body, my sensual videos in the shower. I do like also erotic massages. But you can, there's multiple ways to, it's so like multi-dimensional. There's multiple ways to do it with your partner, with yourself. I feel like it instills a certain confidence that no one can take away from you. That's what I feel. Like you can tell me I'm ugly. You can tell me I'm skinny now. You can tell me whatever you want. I've seen my body so much and I've seen all of it, every part. I know that I'm beautiful. It doesn't matter what people think of me, what opinion they may have of me. Like, because I am a sensual being and I am able to be in the moment, just enjoy being alive, enjoy being myself, enjoy being a woman, enjoy being good to my man or giving him pleasure. Like, all of that makes me a valuable person. And I think that is something that we need to teach women, young women especially, how to explore that part of them. That we're not just sexual beings, we are sensual. And sensuality and exploring should be at the core of your life. It makes you love life. I'm telling you, love people more. All my fans will tell you that, oh, I love Jodelle because she replies to me. I became really, I was always nice to people, but like I really became humble and compassionate because I'm sensual, I'm feminine because I'm sensual. So it's just something I think we have to stress to women, teach them how to do it, show them the proper ways. It's very healing, I would say.
Yes. Amen to that. Yes, I agree. I have mentioned on some of my other sex talks that um, as a sensual muse as well, I love sensuality, and I started to understand a little bit more about my sexuality, which
Mm-hmm.
is more energetic than anything. And I think that discovering that for myself just reinforces the fact that my sensual self and who I am as a sensual being needs to be stimulated first and foremost, and for the lengthiest amount of time in order for me to feel any inkling of like connection with someone, in order for me to even do anything sexual to begin with. But I think that you're right. I think that when it comes to sensuality, just because it is in and of itself a enhancement of the senses that you feel. You are touching more, you are seeing more, you are smelling more, you are feeling more. Like everything that you are doing, you're doing more, and it does nothing but allow you to be present. Because if you are not checking in with yourself, then you can't be sensual with yourself. Like it allows you to find the truth about your body. It allows you to understand, you know, who you are, and in turn who other people are. Because if you know yourself, it's much
It's
easier to
easier
get to know
when you know
somebody else,
yourself.
you
It's
know.
easier to be good in bed with your man. It's easier to just be comfortable in bed, and also it's gonna add to your, you know, to your normal life, whatever you do, your work, the way you talk, the way you speak, the way you behave. It's gonna, you know, add some little spice here and there, like, you know, it's gonna spice up your life basically. Because like me, I could be in a group of women of all kinds, all walks of life, and I'm still gonna be secure. I'm not insecure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like I just love me, and I can appreciate anybody else for whoever they are. I don't want to be anybody else. I love me so much that I could pour into anybody else. It, you know, it just bring that radiant light out, you know, inside of you or outside of you. You know, something I think women should explore deeper, deeper, deeper. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. Couple of other questions. What do you think are some myths people have about you based on your personality or your zodiac sign?
Oh my God. Because I'm Pisces. Oh my God. You know, I'm Pisces and I do that type of work. Because a lot of men think Pisces are whores. Like, yes, yes, that's basically what they say. Like, we sleep around. I think we're just free spirited women or person. So I think Pisces are just free people. We don't like to be tied down to things. I think we are one of the most flexible signs ever. Like me, I don't like lies. I don't like pretending in relationships. I don't like being something that I'm not. I can't. So if I'm open to certain things, I would love that my partner is open to certain things. Like I could be the most honest partner ever. I'll lie to you if you know,
Yes.
you don't create that atmosphere, that environment. You know, I want us to be able to open up, and that's a problem. We're not everybody can be as vulnerable as we are. So I don't think the Pisces women are whores, whatever. I think they just haven't found that partner where they can be themselves with. But I think that's a
Mm.
huge misconception. Another thing that bothers me. Oh my God, let me just say this: people think that we are weak. And
Um,
if you go on any
yes.
astrologer's page right now, they would say, "Oh, Pisces like weak." Da, 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 da. Like I'm like, oh my God, can people stop saying that we're weak? Just because we're emotional and sensitive is being able to feel your emotions. Having emotional intelligence is not a weakness. Being kind is not a weakness. It's like I just don't understand why people keep saying that we're weak. I'm one of the strongest women on planet Earth. Like, if you're close to me, you're like,
Period.
girl, you're strong. Like, but why would people say that we're weak? I don't know. That really bothers me. About that's a huge misconception. We're one of the strongest signs.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think that like I have other signs in my chart, of course, that kind of play into who I am as a Pisces woman, with it being my sun sign. But I've had other Pisces like say like, you know, you're like a different type of Pisces, or like you're like a really strong Pisces, or you're, you know, you're a unique type of Pisces. And I'm like, no, I'm extremely tapped into my Pisces sun, but I just know that it doesn't have to show up like a weakness, and it doesn't have to show up like something that should be timid and scared. And even though I'm a shy person and I had timidness when I was younger, like that has nothing to do with me growing as a person and like who I understand myself to be, still with all those traits within myself, but just being a very secure individual who is a Pisces woman. Like that has nothing to do with me being like scared and me being like, but it's very interesting too, because I've never really heard of people say anything about Pisces being promiscuous. So it's interesting that you say that, but I can easily see that if I think about the type of people that we are, because I know that Pisces women are very free. And so with that being said, I can see how, people can even assume that they are promiscuous when they
Yeah.
just are romantic or they just are connected. Because with me, I'm a sensual muse. I have a podcast called Sex Talk. I love discussing everything about sexuality and sensuality. I think it's fascinating. I do believe that if you don't strengthen and build confidence around this part of your life, you will be breaking yourself in so many other parts of your life. And you cannot be showing up as your whole autonomous self if this part is broken, because it's such a huge part of who you are. And if you display it, you will find people who are in the same community of it as you are. But if you keep it hidden, like most people do, you're going to feel like you're all alone, and you're going to be running around in that energy of shame and doubt and disgrace. And you're not going to be able to become fully who you are. So it's also my mission to talk about things like this in order to spread awareness and build community around this type of stuff. But I'm also abstinent. So it's like, I feel like people they just assume whatever it is that you do, whatever work that you have, and whatever ways that you come off, there has to be some type of like hyper promiscuity connected to that, or like hypersexuality connected to that, just because you are comfortable being free. And freedom and like trauma promiscuity is
And
not the
that's
same
what really
thing.
bothers me, because a lot of people, when they come on my page, they'll be like, oh my God, like she's so free. She must be also free in bed, or she must also be like, how they say that? That type of woman in the room, she, like just jumping them, I'm like, no, oh my God, I'm not, and I'm not even a dominant person. I'm dominant in my business. When it comes, you're having business with me, you're going to see a different side of me. Like this is me in my business. But when it comes to me being a sensual woman, or like expressing my sensuality, I'm very soft. Like I am very submissive to my man, my partner, like I am not dominant, but I don't know, but my work doesn't come off as that. And I can understand that. Maybe people see another side of me. I can't really speak for everybody, but I am very sensual, soft. I'm very feminine with my men. So I wouldn't say that I'm what they think. No. I mean, a lot of people do see who I am also, but most people do think, oh my God, let me just speak to this girl. Let me trying to get with her. Like, let me try and see if I could sleep with her. And I am very difficult to sleep with. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a mental
Same.
person. So it's really hard to get to me, like to my heart or inside of my head. Like, if you're in my life as my lover, good, because it's not easy to be that person to me at all. I am really not promiscuous. If I'm single, I may explore with different partners, different months, whatever. I've never stuck with one person, with two people in the same week. Like, I've never. So I'm really not promiscuous. I don't like having multiple partners either, because I feel like my body, if I'm giving myself to you, I want to give my whole self to you. I want to give the best of me. That's something I really stress. Like, I have to give the best of me in everything in life. Like, if you come on my page, my passions, the way I do my page, like the profile, I want to give my best. If you're gonna chat with me as my fan, you're gonna see I'm gonna reply to you. I'm giving the best of me always to everybody. Like, if I can't give the best of me, I'm gonna rest. You're not gonna see me online. I'll be resting. But yeah, that's something that's really important for me. So having a bunch of partners is a hell no to me. Hell no. I would I wouldn't be able to be myself. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. That's interesting you say that. I think that for me, I can agree and disagree, because I do identify as a poly person, but I do believe that I am completely comfortable being a monogamous person. But it's not an identity that I have wholly assumed. And I think largely it's like the lifestyle that I do want to live too, because I do believe that I will have a life partner. And I do believe that that life partner will be one person as opposed to persons. But I know that it will not be traditional. And I know that it will be alternative. And I know that it will be different. I know that this life partner with me will explore with other people, you know, even if we are not doing other relationships outside of each other, that we will be doing other things with other people together. So there's like a type of exploration and separation of like just the two of us, I guess, that I definitely am into. But yeah, I agree with the promiscuity thing. I'm the type of person who I can comfortably have two lovers at one time, but that's it. Like I can't like
I
any
am
more
like,
than that. It's just it's a lot.
I
Um,
have two people at the same
Say
time,
it
like,
again.
but not like during sleeping with them at once or whatever. But I could be into two people at the same. Yeah, I could see.
Yes. Hmm. Yeah. And I usually, to your point, yeah, I usually have maybe like one or two lovers a year. I probably have a connection with one person sexually. I'm also like I can be more sexually monogamous, but more polyromantic as well. Like I really like the connection, the closeness, the vulnerability, the intimacy with me and more than one person. That can be even more than two people. But usually, even if I am doing that and exchanging that romantic energy because I love being in that energy, I'm probably sexual with one person still. So a lot of it, going back to like the misconception, like that can be misconceived as like, oh, maybe she kind of has everything with them. Like, no, it's not me doing everything with everybody. It's just me, having one thing with one person and me exchanging like a very familiar and pleasurable intimacy and closeness with a lot of different people. And that to me,
Yeah,
just
I
feels
mean, I
good
think everybody
as
should do
well.
what makes them feel good, especially when it comes to pleasing yourself and giving yourself the kind of pleasure that you deserve. I believe everybody should do what they, feel comfortable with. And then one thing that bothers me is that people generalize everything. Like you come on my page, you see what I do, and you're like, oh, she's promiscuous, or they go on your page, oh, she's probably a wild woman in bed. Da, 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 da. You should always allow yourself to get to know somebody before making judgments. Like me, I don't judge people. Like I allow myself to get to know them to see who they are. That's the, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I opened up that space as well for sure. Um, what is your biggest sexual fear?
Biggest sexual fear. I would say to be raped. I've never been raped,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that would be like a big fear for me because I'm not really like I was saying to you earlier, I'm not physical like that. Like you have to really get inside of my head. So the idea of somebody just touching me and grabbing my body and taking advantage of me, it's really would bother me. I would probably get over it because I'm strong mentally also. That's another thing. I probably would get over it. But in the moment of it happening, that would be very repulsive for me. Yeah, that's not something I can deal with. I, no, that would be horrible. And I feel sad for anybody who went through that, who go through that. I remember one time I went to a group where I met women expressing, such situations, and it was sad to hear what they went through. And they continuously go to those groups to recover and like relate to other women and heal. So that has been a fear of mine to be raped, even when I started doing this type of work that I'm doing, like working with painters. I rejected a lot of gigs. I rejected a lot of offers because part of my journey was part of my journey is that I did it by myself. I was by myself a lot in the beginning. I didn't have like an agent. I didn't have anybody booking me, so I was always booking myself. So I really was careful with who I work with. So I'm very proud of myself because everybody I work with was decent people, and I never had those experiences, thank God. But that has been one of my fear,
Mm-hmm.
working as a model and doing this type of work and being around certain people. So you never know what could have happened. I was very like serious. I would drink on set. I would never do certain things. After work, I would just go back home, never really hang out with people because you just don't know people's intentions. It's very tricky. So that's not something you can teach anybody. It comes down to your decisions, you know? But yeah, that was one of my fears. I'm proud that I was never involved in any kind of situations that would all, you know, lead to that happening.
Yes, I actually have the same fear. And it's interesting too because I avoid the times that I have expressed on Sex Talk, like what my fear actually was, I avoided saying the word. I think that like there is a, I'm not sure. I think there is a trigger, I guess, a trigger for me when it comes to like hearing the word. And I went to all women's college as well. So I think that me growing up with a house full of women, my mom, my two sisters, gaining the camaraderie, the connection, and the women empowerment that I took on to college and then took on beyond college, and then was in college listening to women's stories, hearing their experiences back at home, on campus, at other campuses nearby. Like, this was a story for so many women, and it just became, I think it had always been a fear of mine. I used to definitely have really disturbing nightmares about that in particular when I was little. And I think like as I grew up, I just started to just be more in tune. I would do things that I would do things that was unsafe. I would. Like when I was in like middle school and high school, like I used to do things that weren't safe, but I think that I always did things that felt right to me, and I always trusted myself in those choices. So even though I can explain the scenery and the experience, and you're like, oh, that does seem unsafe, because I felt safe, I went with that, and it led me to always be safe. And I think that like not everything is just like, oh, a feeling and you just know what's going on, but a lot of it is. And I think that like the less you listen to yourself, the more you are able to get into situations where your body is telling you that other things are happening, because your body is much more than the physical. It is the chemical, it is the external, it is the energy around you. You have an electromagnetic field that surrounds your body. That's why you can put your hand on top of your skin and like feel heat, or feel like the little hair stand up. Like there is a space outside of the space that you have that is your flesh. And if you are tuned in to the frequency around you, your body's going to let you know what's going on. Now, whether you tune in or tune out of that is how much you've trained yourself to listen without questioning what you have to say. You know, like you don't know the voice, you don't know where it comes from, you don't know like how to have a conversation all the time. But if you listen and you take that without any question, usually you'll be led in the right direction. So I think I've been very lucky to have had all these opportunities for me to tap into my body in order for me to actually know enough about my body. So when I felt something, I was always right. And when I didn't feel anything, I went with it. And I'm very blessed to also have never
because
had
it
that
happened
experience.
more than you know. Tell anything.
Oh,
Other women don't express it. Don't tell anybody. It's a secret. It's just, you know, they're ashamed about it. You know, it's very sad, but a lot of women are raped without, you know, just really sad. A girl that follows me, she's a white girl, and she told me her experience, and she said it's funny how when I came on your page, usually I don't like nude models, but there's something about your work that helped me heal from that experience. Oh my God, that's so sweet. Like she told me like something about how you write and how you express yourself, how you own yourself in your work, that allows me to look at myself that way and help, you know, help me heal, because she was raped, and she told me like it destroyed her for many, many years. And I don't think that would, like, honestly, for me, if I get raped, it would bother me in the moment, but I have something in me that I could just remove anything that bothers in my head and move on from it. And I already have that in them. You know, like a lot of people, it takes them time. Some people never recover. They just say it's never recover from that. They never trust men anymore. They never go out, do certain things, or wear certain type of clothing anymore, because they're afraid. It's terrible, terrible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, it is a big fear of mine. I definitely have had women's circles and held space for a lot of women in that way. I have also been shared that information from a lot of women, and it's something that I'm very, very
Yeah, another thing that
sensitive to.
relates to that also is like when you're young and the woman gets molested really young and getting the body parts, touched, and all that is just part of being raped. Like me, that's something I really want to stress to parents. When you have kids, you really have to talk to them. Like I want to say thank you to my mom and dad because when I was younger, I would never used to go to anything, parties, nothing, 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 nothing. I didn't do anything. There's certain things till right now I haven't done. I still like I'm very like life is just a whole new thing to me still at that age. So yeah, I think then because maybe something would have happened to me. Because one of my friends told me that she was molested out of, when she was young and she used to go to parties. So maybe something would have happened to me. You never know. I'm glad that I was sheltered from a lot of things.
Yeah, my mom was so strict about us going to other people's houses that she would mention that to us. She would say, I don't want you to go with this person's house because I don't know who's in their house and I don't want something to happen to you guys where you guys are molested or raped. And she would just say it. And we would be like, no, mommy, they're not a rapist. And, we're really young. We're 8 years old. We just want to have that sleepover. But she literally would make decisions and then tell us exactly why she was making those decisions so that we had the mind and the consciousness to understand why there was restrictions
My parents
around what we
was
could and could not
nothing,
do.
but as I grew older, I understood why they did a lot of things. So I actually learned about life at 25 years old. That's when I really came out of my world, like my parents' world, like, and I started learning at 25. I'm 33 now, like, so that's the age, like a few years ago. I never went to certain parties. I never did certain, go, go to pool parties or nothing like that. Nothing with a group of friends. I was not around people. So, I mean, it made me feel good also because I have my own mind. I I was not under like peer pressure to be somebody else or like outside influences. I am me. If you meet me, you're gonna see like a very rare person because I didn't have outside influences to make me become anybody else. Like I never really smoked or do weed or drank. So I'm just really myself.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that.
Now I have
Did you grow up an only child?
two sisters and one brother. So my older sister is from my dad's side, but my family, so it's my sister, me, I'm in the middle, and my brother is the youngest. I'm the
I'm the middle child too. Interesting. Yeah, because I grew up 2 years apart from both of my sisters. I'm the middle child. I have a younger and an older. The younger sister stayed the longest with me. The older one, she started to like go to Jamaica when she was like 14. She was there when she was 15. She came back when she was like
mm-hmm.
around 16 or so. Started to live outside of the house. So we weren't like living with her for like a good chunk of like a few years. So when I used to do things when I was younger, my mom would only allow us to do things if I was with my sister because she also believed that if there were two of us, it'll just be a lot harder for things to happen. And thankfully, she was right. We did a lot of stuff together. We did a lot of things. Like as we got older, she increasingly gave us more and more freedom. And I think that she was just trying to train us to understand that like more age and more maturity becomes more
Good.
responsibility. So that progression helped me to not do like the whole thing when you're like you're 20 years old, you're finally out of your parents' house and you go crazy because you never like that whole
I haven't
drastic thing was something that never happened because as I got older
like
she
I had
slowly
to
like
fight
gave
for
us
my
time.
freedom. I had to fight and say no. I'm 23 years old. At 23 years old, I couldn't even go out. 23.
Oh my god.
I am gonna go out. You can be mad, but I'm 23 now, so I had to fight for my independence. And a lot of Haitian women can tell you that they had to fight for their independence. A lot of Asian women really started going out like in their late 20s, 26, 27, because even early on, they still kept it tight. So like, but I'm like, nah. At 23 years old, I had like my boyfriend. This is one of the best years of my life. Like I actually was really home because I was never really out. So I really took my independence and it felt good, really good. That's
Hmm.
yep.
Indeed. That's awesome. Yeah, I love that for you. I think that definitely pours into like who you are as a strong woman to begin with. Like just expressing what you want, what makes you feel
My
good,
family,
you know.
everybody knows that Jodelle's gonna speak her mind. And I always tell my parents, I always tell, I don't want you to think that I'm disrespecting you. I don't want you to think because I'm speaking my mind or saying what I think should be done, or your tone was wrong. I don't want you to think that I am disrespecting you, but I have my own mind and I have my own ways of doing things. So anybody will be looking at me like, because my family have reunions, so like meetings, everybody, if there's a disagreement, everybody would sit and talk about it and like fix it. And that I still have that in me. Whenever I work with my team and there's something that goes wrong, we all have to sit down. I learned that when I was little. So I would be like speaking like this. I don't think I should have said this to me, or like the way your tone wasn't right. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, yes, she really has some guts, this girl. But I was always like that. I always had my own mind and I would always speak up and say what I have to say. And if you're mad, and you're mad, but I have I cannot keep it inside of me. Basically, I just have to say it. Even when I used to work at a travel agent. I would pull my coworker on the side. I'm like, hey, you had an attitude with me earlier. Don't do it again. And my eyes would be like, oh my God, don't do it again. Okay. But yeah, I mean, not to start anything, but I will just let you know how I feel. And then I'll move on from it. Once I express myself, I don't hold any grudges. I move on. Yeah, but I have to say how I feel.
Yeah, I think that's just it. Like if I can speak on it, I'm good. But if I can't speak on it, then I hold
It's
it
gonna
for a
choke
very,
me, and
very
I
long
know
time.
that's when I used to have those crazy angry episodes where I would blow up because I kept too much inside of me at a certain time in my life. I don't do that anymore. I still allow myself to express myself in the moment when something goes wrong. I think that's the healthiest way to deal with certain disagreements or issues, the best way. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I mean,
Right,
if
like
it's not like the day
just
after, then it's like it's too long.
or
I
in the moment or whenever it's
yeah.
the right time. Just don't hold it for too long.
hmm I definitely started to do that. I think that like the last straw for me to work on my communication was really to give myself a voice that I always had, but I feel like along the way of me like living different places, studying 600 miles away and then going overseas and just doing all these things, separated myself from my family. I felt like there was like a lot of my communication that I just had issues with, not with anybody else, but somehow I just like created this idea in my mind that I had a problem speaking to my family the way that I would speak to my friends. So I think that like reconditioning myself to have a voice and to speak up and to understand that I'm respected and like my family loves me and respects my mind, respects my voice, and they want to hear what I have to say. If I have to say it, I'm giving myself the, permission to take up room in any place that I am at, including that space too.
Or
So
respected too. People are like,
I
oh,
definitely
she's
feel that.
gonna. Everybody treats you because you have a voice. They just know how to address you, and that's how it should be.
Mm-hmm. So we are at 9 o'clock. We could take any questions that people
Say that
have.
I
If you
can see
guys have
anything.
any
I don't see their
questions.
comments.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there were some comments that were coming up, but it was like, I don't know, 30 minutes ago. So if anybody has any more comments, you can put it in the question box, which is on the bottom right hand corner of the screen. It has a little question mark. or you can type it in the chat. Just wait for any questions to be generated so that we can answer them. You can address them to Jodelle, or you can address them to me, or both of us, before we end for this evening.
It was a wonderful talk.
Let us
I
as always. I know that we can go on for hours. So let us know. But in the meantime, what are you working on? What things can we expect from you in 2022? And what are a few things that all of us can support you that's happening?
I am, I went through a rebranding process this year, from becoming a muse to a sensual creator, and now to building my brand, which is, helping other creators, providing content to sensual enthusiasts, like people that are into sensuality, helping women. So next year, I am going to have my first workshop in New York. In April. Yay. So I'm going to announce it probably in January or before the year ends, but I think it's going to be in January. So I'm working on doing workshops, doing like a little university where I teach women how to be sensual, what sensuality is, all of that within the, I'll have like different modules, but these are the things that I'm working on. Having my product line out, which I think I shared with you, right? I don't know.
I think
no. Yes. So I have my own product line coming out. So like my goal is to shift into becoming a brand, providing content and like sensual products, because I just want to do everything that are sensual. I want people to be able to come to me and be like, hey, I want this kind of product, and I have it, and be able to just keep on feeding people to live this lifestyle, this sensual. So in the next few years, that's where I'm gonna, what I'm gonna do. That's my goal. And if you want to support me, like right now, I have my OnlyFans. There's people who like consuming, streaming sensual content. You can purchase, posters, and you can donate to me. My link in bio. You can purchase my merch. And I had a lot of people this December who purchased my merch. And from Nigeria. Nigerian people do support me a lot, and I love you guys for that. Thank you. I have a lot of people from Nigeria support me. This year was just a very good year for me, transitioning, becoming who I am, and being secure. My body, like my work helped me. So it's been good.
Nice. Yeah, shout out to that. I'm excited. I know that everything you do, like you said, you put your all in, it's 100%. So I'm excited for everything to come into fruition in 2023. You've been working hard. I saw the transition and been following you for a couple of years now. So like the leaps and the bounds and the jumps, and also like us talking privately and you telling me about the whole world on your OnlyFans and how much stuff you do with streaming and the content you create. I love
how my fans
and I know
treat me
even
too.
better.
Like that's the best part of my journey, honestly, is the way my fans support me and how they just build me up, help me expand as well. So that's something I'm really, really grateful for. They would do people and support me financially, support me with mood boards, they would, refer me to people. So all of that is something that I'm proud of because I have that connection with them. So I am proud.
I love
of
that.
you too for,
I love that.
Blossoming. You look happier. Your work is getting better, and you're you have a glow to you. It seems like you're happier now. Like you're at a place in your life where you know what you want to do. Maybe you have your base, you know what your business is gonna be about. So that's the feeling, and I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think that I am just laser focused on exactly what I want to do. I think a lot of it is like the recalibrating I keep on speaking about and just becoming just more settled. But I also know that I already feel settled in a lot of ways. And I know what the next steps are going to be in order for me to do all the different things on my list, because like you said, you're a brand and you want merch, and then you also have services and you want to be amused, and all those things that you do that are aligned in order for you to give those services and that merchandise and that branding and like everything that you want to give. You are settled enough in order to like do all that stuff seamlessly. So I know the trajectory of like where I am and what I'm doing is to show my top-notch work, you know, and
Yeah.
to have other people look at me like, okay, yeah, fashion model, yes, lingerie model, yes, like muse, you know, like see me and
One of the
recognize me for the amazing work.
you're you're one of the
I
best.
didn't hear
Like your modeling is one of the best out there. You show up with this thing that comes out of you every time you pose. It's I don't know what to say. You're like situated within yourself. You're like, it feels like you know what it is, what time it is. Like, hello, this, I'm that, whatever that might be. You're like, I love that in your
mm-hmm.
work.
I
It's our told you that.
thank you.
So it's very.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I think that like what you were saying earlier about being a sensual person and just you are so present with yourself that you know yourself so much because you're always learning yourself because you're present with yourself that you don't want to be anybody but yourself.
Yes, I
Like that is how
do.
I feel. Like being super rooted in who I am and what I do, that is how I feel. Like I know that there's nobody better than me because I'm the best, but I'm not the
Right.
best because I'm shitting on anybody else. I'm the best because I know who I am and I love who I
That's how
am
I
because
feel.
I know who I am.
Let's just say congratulations to the both of us for reaching this height, this peak in our career and with ourselves. It takes a lot of work. I want women that are watching us to know that it's not gonna happen magically. You really have to work on yourself, and being sensual is a big part of it as well. Don't listen to anybody. Do it your way. Explore yourself. Love yourself, but you can become secure and you can work with other women and love them and just be around other people and just be you. You're never gonna lose you. Once you do the work, I promise you'll never lose you anymore. And that's the most important thing for me now, and the most thing that I'm grateful for. That being able, I know that I'm not gonna lose
Yes.
myself anymore.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Ashe. So we do have one question from a friend of mine, Heart Vacation. He says, do you feel like dating a Caribbean man or a Caribbean woman is different versus dating a Black American from one
So you
another?
want to answer, or should I answer? I dated
You
two
can go
Black
ahead.
Americans, and it was definitely different than dating a Caribbean man, because I mean I'm not criticizing them, but this was my experience with the two Americans that I dated. There seems to be a sort of carelessness that I'm not used to in a relationship, like a lack of empathy, a lack of vulnerability that I didn't like. I'm used to people opening up to me and like talking to me, and when they're bothered by something, like Black Americans, like, I don't care. They like this thing. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Like, this is not healthy in relationships, because for a relationship to work, you have to be vulnerable. You can be like, I don't give a fuck. You have to give a fuck because you're in the relationship. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it. You have to give a hell because you're in that relationship. You're putting your time, sharing your body with that person. You do care. So I think like we don't care is not healthy. So I'm not used to that because I care. I'm a caring person. I have to. You really have to do something really bad to me for me to be like I don't care. And at that point, I'm not gonna be in a relationship anymore. But I care, and I think that's something I didn't like about dating and like that.
Interesting. It's interesting because I don't think I've dated a lot of Caribbean men, or I think the Caribbean men who I have dated have all been Americanized. So to your point, I don't even know if there has been a separation for me because there has always been a Black American experience to the Caribbean men who I have dated. I will say that I have dated a lot of people outside of my race, ethnicity, and culture. And I've traveled to 16 different countries, and I've dated in like at least half of them, or at least seen people or had lovers in at least half of them. And experiencing people in these different countries, um, has definitely given me a different perspective of not only how my body is appreciated, which has given me more confidence to bring back home to other people who happen to have this Black American experience, um, which I think that discourse definitely kind of changes the trajectory of how they connect to me. But when you mention the lack of vulnerability and the fact that there is some type of like closed off energy, um, I can say true to that. I can say that that has definitely been an experience for me. I'm very open, obviously, and I speak very candidly and I am very honest. And everything
That's
that's on my mind, I usually say. And so I think that, like, if you are someone who is not comfortable doing all of those things, which happens to be a very Black American experience in general, men and women, I think, in general, but particularly with men who I have dealt with, even the Caribbean men who I know, I just think that, like, there has not been a difference for me, I would say. There has not been a difference for me when it came to the Caribbean men and the Black American men, because they have been living a similar life experience, in my opinion, here in America, to the point where they have just become assimilated to being the
like
same
I
type of man.
strictly
Um,
Haitian men who were born in Haiti. So there's a difference because they're like from there, born there, came here. So I could tell the difference right off the back because that's one of the years when I first came here in America. I could tell it was just unattractive to me.
yeah.
I don't like when you feel something, you pretend not to feel it because you don't want to be vulnerable or you don't want to show your emotions. I'm not used to that. Like, I'm just not used to it. If you care about something, just show that you care. That way you don't lose a person, you know. A lot of people have issues expressing their emotion. They rather be petty, they rather be mean, and I'm not used to this. It's to me it's ugly energy. It's an ugly, very ugly energy. I don't like it. That's why I don't comment on the shade room sometimes. It's that energy that this is not me. I'm not wired to be this way. So whoever I'm dating, and if I see that you have that in you, I can't date you. Like, I was really nice to me, treating me like a princess, but when we have issues, it's a whole, like, he would just like shut me down and like not let me express myself, not express himself. And like I said to you, I grew up in a family when we have issues, we would just sit and talk. So like me not having that with my partner is already a big no. So that was like a turn off for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say for me, it's interesting because I recently was talking to someone who was born in Haiti, but came here when he was 8. And again, I felt like that assimilation of, like, he's very connected to his roots. Even when it comes to like very like native, African connection and religion
Mm-hmm.
to like the Haitian culture, like that was all very true for him. But there was still this closed offness. There was still like him not expressing himself. There was still like a time limit on how much he told me, or a restriction on like how much he told me. Like if he thought he was doing too much, he stopped. And I'm like, we're not in high school, baby. Like, we are grown as fuck. Like, it's giving, you're gonna have to talk to me or this is not gonna work. And it did not work. But like that frustrates me because of who I am. Like, I cannot be that person that holds back. Like, I can't be that person that's like, oh, I'm just not going to tell him how I feel. If I have
I'm
to
not
feel that way, I
that's
can't
it.
be with
That's
you.
me. There's so much, so free with why can't we just express ourselves and say what the issue is? My biggest issue with a lot of people is like they don't want to say what the issue is. And the lack
Ego.
of vulnerability, we're able to just be vulnerable. Like, like me, if something bothers me to the point I have to cry, I'm gonna cry. I have no issues. 1,000 people are seeing me cry. Like, I have no issues with that. It doesn't make me weak. I'm just expressing and removing something that bothered me. I'm just comfortable with my emotions, whatever it is. So being with someone that doesn't have that lack of empathy, like can't express their emotion, can't say what it is, it's a no for me. Like, those guys, I really only did it like 3 months. That's it. Like, and another thing about me, I move fast. My mom used, it was like, wait, didn't you, weren't you dating a guy? And that's why they say we're whores, because we're not gonna waste time. If you want to say that I'm a whore because I'm moving from one person, why waste time with one person that's like, you won't evolve, you won't change, you don't want to express yourself? Like, what's the point? We cannot communicate. I'm sorry. I just, bye. On to the.
I'm the same way. I saw this meme that was just like, 1 week, girl, oh my God, let me tell you about 1 week later, girl, never mind. That's me. Like, that's me all day, because I am to, like, when you said that it's very hard for someone to be a lover in your life and to hold that position, I resonate with that so much. Like, it's very hard to be in my life and be a lover of mine, because I also am a sapiosexual, and it also is about like their like energy for me. And I am now in the point and in the space where, like, I want my sexual experiences to be predominantly sensual, and I want it to be predominantly energetic, and I want someone to have an engagement with me where it's like transcendent and like out of body, you know. And I feel like people are so regular, like, no tea, no shade, but people are mad regular, and like the way that they engage with their own body is not intuitive enough for you to even engage with mine. And so I am very comfortable like taking as much time as I need in order to find someone who is as conscious. And that I feel like that's going to be in a space where I am also flowing with everything else that I want to connect to, you know, when it comes to my professional life, when it comes to my business, when it comes to a bigger network, a better network, you know, more people, more travel. I think that it's all going to align.
That's just how I feel too. Like, I can't really be around people that are not like me anymore. Like, I'm not going to shrink myself or diminish my lights just so you could just put me in a position where I'm not able to express myself. Yeah, I do understand everything you just said. I relate to it so much that I could go months. I remember when I became a muse, I spent almost like, I'm not gonna say 7 years, but like almost 5 years without being with a bunch of people. I had only one person, one lover. It was enough for me. I can't, spread myself thin, and then you're not gonna meet me halfway. Especially when it comes to giving you my body. Like, I focus on having, experiencing pleasure, giving you pleasure, and I want pleasure. Like, not just, reaching orgasms and like, that's good too, but that's not my goal when I'm having sex. Like, I really focus on intimacy. I really focus on connecting with you, conversations, like other things, quality time, like just laying next to each other, filling up each other. You know what I'm saying? So if I cannot get these things and like get them in depth, not just doing it just for 5 seconds and then just move on, and like, no, I need it longer. Like, it needs to be in depth for me, really spend time getting to know me, getting inside of my head, like arousing me mentally. And then we can see about me opening up. And when I open up, you're going to have the best time for sure. Best of me. Because
Right.
It's much better to give the best of me than just having a bunch of small relationships here and there and then giving like half of me, and I'm half satisfied and it's just not what I want. I don't want these things. And I never really had them either. I never really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that I don't think I've ever like been so preoccupied with someone else that I wasn't able to give who I was to somebody. Like that's never happened to me. Like, anything that I have ever done, I've done to the capacity in which I can do them, and it has allowed me to be whole in doing them. I think that like when it comes to sensuality, it's so powerful, and that's the type of work that I want to do. Like, I think also with me continuing my movement work, continuing my performance work, continuing my film work, all the works that I do, I want to become a somatic sexologist and really become a master in healing and providing therapy for the body for people. And I want to specialize in sensual play and sensation play. And I want to have people understand what you just mentioned. Like, reaching an orgasm is cool, but I want to allow people to understand that you can create the erogenous zone over the entire body and have a orgasmic body experience that has nothing to do with your genitalia. Like, and if you can can you, if you can zoom into that, you know, pigeonhole into that, focus into that, understand that, then you can be much more aware that your experiences with other people go way beyond what you see in a mainstream pornography video. And like, that is my goal, like to have you understand that your body is your pleasure filled, and it has nothing to do with your butt, your vulva, your penis, or your breast. Like, the rest of you is still like so much more to explore, you know. And having that consciousness is the type of partner that I want, and it's very rare.
Like sometimes I'm then having sex with a guy and I'm so happy. I didn't have an orgasm, but I feel so fulfilled because, like, you know, of the way he touched me and the pleasure that I felt, like how I felt connected to him. These things matter to us women. It's not just like we lay our body there and then and then that's it. No, there's more to it for women. We love feeling valued like that. Giving your woman that kind of love, connection, pleasure, that's how we feel valued. Not just like, you know, reaching all that. Certain women do say they have to reach. Everybody's different. Some women have that. But for me, those other things matter just as much. I don't always have an orgasm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Same here. I think that like that full body experience, like tantalizing the senses and really delving deep into spending as much time as possible, like to the point where there is no end goal. It's literally the journey that is the whole point of the experience.
A lot of people don't know about these things. A lot of people don't know about the zones, like to touch in a woman's body. Like they don't know. They have to be taught. So a lot of people just think like sex is removing your clothes, kissing a little bit, touching a little bit, and then entering the person, da 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 da, and then that's it. No, that's not what it is. There's just more to it, and you really have to be patient with your partner to get to know them, to know what they love and do what they love, and spend more time together and explore each other's body. We have to be explored. Like, come on. I mean, I'll be telling guys, listen, look at me, honey. You really don't let me be bougie and all. I mean, you gotta do it like I like it. And another thing, I cannot fake it. If you're not doing it, I'm sit on the bed and
absolutely not
lecture you because you're not doing it right. Like, and you have to be comfortable with that. So yeah, I want to be treated the proper way. I want to feel valued when I have sex. I want to feel like I'm a woman and I am being taken by this beautiful man. It has to be this whole like thing in my head, you know. I mean, don't cancel my fantasy. Don't. I want to have that beautiful fantasy, like. So it's important for me that you are the person that I'm with understand that.
Yeah, I think that like sometimes when I talk to people about my sexual experiences, I think also that's another place I want to delve into, because I was thinking too that, like, you know, I've had a lot of different sexual experiences that are kind of like these sexcapades that I would love to share, and I would love to have it on a platform like OnlyFans or Patreon where people can tune in and like listen to me express myself and my erotic stories, because I have a lot of them, and I feel like a lot of the reasons why I have a lot of them is because I'm always led by my own pleasure and always led by my own comfort. And I think too, comfort is super important. Comfort is more important than experience. And I feel like a lot of people don't tune into that reality. A lot of people are just like, well, I don't know, I don't do that much, or I haven't done that much. And your body will allow you to do everything it needs to do if you're comfortable, but it won't if you're uncomfortable. And if you think that it is only resting in experience, then you're going to put all of your faith into somebody else who's done things a lot that has nothing to do with your body or making your body feel like it needs to be.
So that's why I always, you know what, you made me realize something. This is why I always like, you know, nice conversations, because these things allow my mind, because my mind is my strongest point, like my strongest asset, I would say. So I'm always guarded here. So if you can have a conversation with me, allow me to just like calm down a little bit, you would see me open up to you. Me. So comfort is very important. Like, I think men should think about creating like this safe environment for their women, allow them to like just be, you know, become feminine. Because, you know, we have so much we do during the day. We have to return to our body to you. So if you create that like safe environment for us, it doesn't have to be like crazy romantic, but just something with low lights, you know, some soft music, and you talk to her and you allow her to talk to you, and looking in each other's eyes and everything. That is something that's so good to me. Comfort. And that's how I open up. Physically, that's how you can start touching me. Da, da, da. But if there's nothing like that for me, you just come and touch me. But no. So I mean, for some women it works, but for me it just doesn't work because I'm here. Yeah, I'm not physical like that.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I think that like, and because I'm so energetic, like
Oh,
one small change and I'm like, okay, well, the energy's off. I was so close. I could literally, you could be like on the precipice of
that's
insertion
just how
and
I
one thing messes
am.
up and
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God,
I
this is what I
can't
don't
lose
like when
it.
people just go down on me because I'm very particular and very sensitive. And one thing you do, I'm turned off. Everything shuts down. Like just do something else. Like that's it. That's it. Guys need to know that. I mean, one little, it's not like the clitoris and vulva and the vagina, it's not the same thing as the penis. It's different parts of it, different ways to simulate it. Any like, crazy touch, if you go too hard or too slow, it might just turn you on. I mean, turn you off. So, very important to know.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, indeed. All right. Anything else, people of the corn? We're ending that on don't make any sudden moves that might be the detriment to your
Yeah.
sexual experience. Might just
It
come to an
just
end.
might just,
Okay.
turn the lady off.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So, if you weren't tuned in before, Jodelle mentioned all the wonderful things she'll be doing in 2023. She's going to be showcasing more of her work and transition into more branding, providing more services. She has her first workshop in New York coming up in April. So, we'll be sure to tune into her. She has an OnlyFans if you'd like to support her, stream her, and watch her sensual content. She's going to be building a university to teach women how to be sensual and how to tap into that power with themselves so that they can be fully who they are, be more present with who they are, more confident with who they are. And we just love to see it. So check her out, tune into her. I'm going to tag her and save this live. I will also be posting this live on YouTube, and I'll be having the audio of this live on all podcast platforms, including Spotify. So until next time, thank you so much for joining us. Love you lots, and we'll see
Bye.
you soon. Bye.